And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. No, it's the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest things that need to be tackled in today's world, and that is Self-Esteem 101 for women. So I've had this video requested, and the question was, could you tell us women how to reinvent ourselves? Because we need to know about self-esteem and looks and confidence, etc. What are your thoughts on it? And basically what it came down to was I need to explain self-esteem for women. I need to explain the science behind it and how it works, so that not only do you know where it comes from, what's up with it in your life today, and where are you going with it in the future? Like, how can you know that in the future you will have massive amounts of self-esteem? Okay, that's what this video is for. And I hope that you share this video far and wide to all the women that you know, because women need this. Like, if it's anything that they need, is this. Okay, so let's get started. I've made this fancy PowerPoint presentation for you, so I hope you appreciate it. Spend a couple of days on it, and let's get started. Self-esteem is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth. So does it have anything with what other people say in terms of what they think your value is? No. Self-esteem, self-worth, that's what it's all about. How can we help you to feel fantastic about yourself? That's what it is. This was from Google. Self-esteem, in my words, is your ability to get what you emotionally want and need. So I'm focusing on emotionally because when you think about it, it's women. We're talking to women here. If you could get whatever it was that you want and need, and it would just flow naturally towards you, wouldn't you feel pretty good about yourself? Like, wouldn't that give you tons of, good feelings about your feelings about you? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay? If you know that any point in time you can get whatever it is that you need and want, it could take some time, right? Because it's not like immediate, everything's immediate. And if everything that you wanted and needed came immediately, you wouldn't really appreciate it much, okay? There are some things that you should get immediately, but then there are some things that you need to wait for, which is good, because if it immediately comes, then it wasn't really worth much. If it actually requires some patience and maybe even some effort to get it, you'll appreciate it so much more, right? And these questions need to be answered. Where did it come from? If it's lost, what happened to it? And how can we 100x it from here? Okay, I have high ambitions, and that includes for your self-esteem as well. Let's go. It comes from your environment. Very simply put. Let's just make sure that this thing is actually working right now. I sure hope it is, so that you guys can actually enjoy this with us. Okay. Where does it come from? It comes from your environment. You are an environmental creature. Your environment dictates who you are. It dictates your thoughts. It dictates your emotions. And it dictates your behavior. You are your environment. Okay? Now, if you want to change, you literally have to change your environment. Because whatever is, put inside your brain will be the output that you bring to the world. Okay? Input creates output. Especially for women. Because there's this subconscious thing going on behind here where you're getting input. You will not, if you're burdened especially, be able to close the door to things that you do not want to have in your brain. Okay? So if negativity comes inside your brain, okay, from other sources, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be negative, because sometimes it's important for you to vent and get it out. Actually, that's the most effective way to get rid of negativity, is actually to get it out. The problem is, are you in an environment where tons of negativity is coming in, and and not just negativity about the world, but negativity about you? those very often are this, one and the same, because if you get tons of negativity about the world, you're internalizing it and personalizing it, meaning it's going to enter anyway into your brain, and you're going to absorb it into your emotions. And your emotions dictate how you think and feel and how you act in the world, okay? So we have to understand that it's all environmental. Very simple, right? Well, it's not that simple, because, how easy is it to remove yourself from your environment and go into a better environment? How do you even know that next environment that you come to actually is better for you than what you've had, right? It's always like greener on the other side, right? Well, not necessarily. But let's just start with this, keeping it simple. It's all environment. And what is your environment? Where did it all start? When you came out, of your mother's womb, you entered into the birthing room, you barely opened your eyes, and these were all new impressions, right? You've been in the womb now for 10 months, okay, 40 weeks or whatever, 9 months, 10 months, 40 weeks. What happened there is that you became comfortable in there, okay? And you knew exactly what was going on, and now you wanted out, okay? So you came out, and then you're in this birthing room, you're in the hospital, and there's people, and hopefully your environment is now one of caring, right? Where your mother is taking care of you. She's breastfeeding you. She's keeping you warm. She's making sure that you're warm, that you're safe, that you're cuddled, that you receive hugs, kisses, right? That's your environment. Hopefully everyone receives this. They don't all do that, right? And there's hospitals where they separate woman and child immediately after the birth. It's horrible. What the child needs is a wholesome, wonderful, warm environment to transition from that comfortable space into now the real world where it's cold and what is this, that's happening, right? Okay, and it goes from there. Hopefully you've got two parents, multiple parents that actually are there for you to support you and love you and care for you, give you the food that you need, give you the laughter and play and blah, blah, blah that you need, okay? You're becoming comfortable now. Your self-esteem is growing, okay? This is important to understand. Where does it come from? You automatically have it. Or at least you automatically had it once you were born, because of your parents hopefully were there to protect you and your vulnerability and make sure that you had sufficiency for your needs, make sure that you were warm, make sure that you had eaten, make sure. Okay? And then it continues to your siblings. Now, what's interesting is that parents and siblings do a great job, hopefully, in terms of helping you have a great self-esteem. That's what family's supposed to do. Supposed to help you to be in an environment where there's love, joy, and happiness, and you're being prepared for the real world, so to speak, right? Because if you grow up with a good, healthy self-esteem, then you can actually enjoy life. And you know that things are progressing and that things will work out always in the end, because they always have worked out in the past. If things are horrible in your family environment and your parents call you names, they tease you, they mock you, they belittle you, they reject you all of the time, they ignore you, they etc. If you get a lot of negativity from your parents, okay, as a child, and from your siblings, or maybe you're the oldest sibling, okay? The oldest sibling very often gets the worst rep, because, they get all of the blame for everything that goes wrong in the family, and they have the most responsibility, and they've got to take care of their siblings and blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff, goes inside the brain. There are impressions, input, and then it produces an output, and that is where the foundation of your self-esteem is laid. You know what your past is. I don't know what your past is, but you know what your past is. If you have had bad self-esteem from an early age, from ever since you could remember, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, blah, 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 that's probably from your family environment. Okay, now a lot of people, start kindergarten and school extremely early these days. So that ends up becoming the second step, which is your friends and others that you spend time with. Who are your kindergarten teachers? Who are this, that, and the others? Who did you spend time with? If they bullied you, if they belittled you, etc., 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 that's going to have an effect on your self-esteem. If you've only had and known an environment where people are loving, caring, give you whatever you need, making sure that everyone is equal and happy and no one is left behind, everyone's safe and secure, do you understand what I mean? That's going to positively affect your self-esteem. And that's the world that we're trying to create. we have to create it at one point if we're going to create heaven on earth, right? Heaven is not a destination, it's an environment. And you can create heaven here, but you can't create it on your own because heaven is a group, it's a community of people that support each other and love each other and make sure that everyone's needs are emotionally met, okay? Or emotional needs are all met. And the last one is anyone that you develop a deep connection with. You got family, and then you develop friends and people at school, etc., etc., and you grow up, and then eventually you become a teenager, and then you begin to develop more intense hormones. Okay, you've always had hormonal development, but you develop now intense hormones towards desiring sexuality. Okay, you're a woman, you're a sexual creature, a sensual creature, and that has led you to be led by feminine boys who seemed masculine at the time, but any boy that leads you to sleep with him or leads you to do intimate things with him, that caused you to eventually get lower self-esteem, which you did, okay? There's nothing to hide there. Sexual acts that happen too early and with someone that you regret it with, which happens basically to 99% of women, okay, and they're, 95% because there's, a few percent of people that actually keep their virginity throughout, high school and everything and don't lose it before a lot later. But the majority of women lose it throughout their high school years. And during that time frame, the majority of them regret the things that they've done. There's no, that's just facts. That's just how it works. And because you regret it, that probably affected your self-esteem because you were rejected, or the fact that you did it or had intimacy with the dude that you later regret that you had intimacy with, that makes you feel that's kind of like a rejection too. Like, why did I do that? So it's kind of like even if he still wanted you and wanted to be in your life and please be my boy, be my girlfriend, and you're just like, ew, no, stay away from me. That's a negative thing for your brain. That I can't, your self-esteem is affected because you regret it and you hate yourself for it. Does that make sense? And then you got the bullying that happens in school, and you've got teasing, you got this, that, and the other. You got friends that are kind of, alienating you from the group, etc., etc., etc. Everyone basically is struggling. And hurt people hurt people. So you end up, everyone goes around hitting and destroying everyone else's self-esteem when we shouldn't. When we should do something else, which is build up each other's self-esteem. Also, another thing that I can mention about, anyone you develop a deep connection with, guess what? If you're rejected by a guy, that becomes a deep connection. Have you noticed? Which basically means that you're connected to him in such a way that, what was I going to say about that? Well, maybe we'll get back to it. But the whole point is, you don't want to be burdened, okay? Because there are 3 pillars of femininity. You won't see the whole chart because of my picture, but it doesn't matter. You guys can kind of see. I'm reading it anyway. 3 pillars of femininity. What is femininity? Simply put, you won't find this definition anywhere else. This channel is your only source, okay, of where this finally makes sense, okay? Where masculinity, femininity finally makes sense, and you can just look at it and just like, oh yeah, that makes sense, okay? That's what you get from this channel. The Women of High Value channel, make sure you subscribe, of course. There's three things: security, which includes safety; equality, being never left behind; and then acceptance, which is unconditional love. If you've got those three things, your femininity, or at least the foundational needs, your foundational emotional needs of femininity are being met. You just want to feel safe and secure, okay? And then you just want to be equal with those around you. Because you don't want to be left behind, but also you don't want to be excluded from a group. Because you're a social creature, you're an environmental creature, you want to belong, you want to be accepted. Okay, but you have a dual nature to you. This is quite interesting, because this is, let me explain how it works with security and safety and the dual nature. Because security and safety is kind of boring, believe it or not. It's foundational. You need it. It's crucial. Because if you don't have it, you'll be burdened, okay? However, if you do have it, if you feel safe and secure, it allows you to now explore. It allows you to have fun, to have excitement in your life, and to have spontaneous adventure, okay? Mystery, risk, somewhat of a risk, as it's kind of like a roller coaster, you know, it feels unsafe somewhat, right? It's like, woo, but you know you're safe because you're buckled in, and you know, and it's everyone that takes this roller coaster is fine afterwards, and they have smiles on their faces. So I got to try this roller coaster, right? But if you didn't know that your security and safety was taken care of, it wouldn't be that much fun. Does that make sense? So that's kind of like, girls just want to have fun. Well, guess what? In order for them to have fun, they need to feel safe and secure first. Okay? So their dual nature, like security and fun. Fun is kind of risky, actually. But and women have a hard time to kind of get both at the same time, because they're kind of polar opposites, but you need both. So that's kind of how it works. I can explain more about that later. Comment down below. There's a live chat. I can answer questions at the end. But if you have any questions, make sure you do that. Okay, equality and never left behind. This one is quite interesting. Women have an inherent need, an emotional need to worship. Now this doesn't come before later, once you actually develop your sexuality, etc., etc. At one point in time, trust me, you do not desire a man that you're equal with in everything. Okay? No, it doesn't work like that. And I've made tons of videos about this, but I'll just explain to you how attraction works. It's very simple. You've got a woman and a man. The man is either higher value or lower value. Okay? He'll never be equal to you. Why? I'll tell you. You have way more intense emotions than he does. Okay? And number two, he desires sex a lot more than you do. Those two key things. Meaning, well, in terms of the sex, that's kind of just makes sense. He has 10 to 12 times more testosterone and has a drive towards ejaculating continuously. If he is an ejaculator, which he shouldn't be, in my opinion, and you'll learn that from the Men of High Value channel, what I focus on when it comes to men, and preparing themselves for them to not need sex, okay? Because it's very unattractive, right? So, but that's kind of the majority of men. That's kind of what happens out there. The more they ejaculate, the more hypersexual they are, meaning they need it a lot more than you do. Okay, so he needs sex more than you do. And then you've got, because most men ejaculate, and then you got the other one, which is that you have way more intense emotions than he does. Which means that if you have at any point in time something that you feel very passionate about, or something that you just, you have to scream to him about, or you want it your way or else type thing, guess what? He'll submit. Why? Because he wants peace. There's no guy that doesn't want peace. He wants peace. What if he knew, men don't want fights. They don't want to have issues with their women because it doesn't benefit them at all, really much, okay? And so they don't want it. So what happens? They submit, okay? So this is what happens. If the man doesn't submit, then he becomes, in your eyes, he's not necessarily, but in your eyes, he'll be high value. I'm spending too much time on this. This has nothing to do with self-esteem and all. So I just gotta get it. Most of you guys don't understand the basics of attraction and female nature when it comes to this. So just briefly. Okay, so the man is high value now in your eyes because he rejected you. And so you as a woman now actually look up to him for him rejecting you. Sad, but true. Good if you understand the entirety of female nature, but it's bad if it's a bad guy. Because now suddenly a bad guy is high value and you're attracted to him, and so you'll be led in the wrong direction in terms of joy, bliss, and happiness, okay? Because a bad guy will never give you joy, bliss, and happiness long term. Might temporarily, but that never lasts. And so it's a very bad system. However, a nice guy, he's going to be low value. Why? Because he submits. And because he's a nice guy, he needs sex. Because he's actually only focused on you. The bad guy has several options. And he doesn't care if you don't want him. And that's the guy you're attracted to. So it's kind of completely warped and messed up if you don't understand it. Once you understand it, it's simple. Then you can actually, know yourself somewhat, and hopefully your emotions doesn't get the best of you, because emotion very often throws out rationality. So just wanted to explain to you that you want worship, but you want to worship a man that's trustworthy and superior in every single way to others. Not necessarily superior to you. It's not like you're inferior. It's just that you feel that he has more power than you do. That's very attractive to you, okay? Men having power is amazing. Women love it. What is power? Does it mean power over you? No, not at all. It's power in terms of the ability to do. He's able to get what he wants and needs at any time, okay? Because that allows you, that actually gives you self-esteem. If you're with a low-value man, you're not able to get what you want and need from him. One, you're not attracted to him, which means that you've settled and you can't get another guy, because if you could, you would, right? Which affects your self-esteem, because you're not able to get what you want and need from this guy, which crushes you inside from a self-esteem standpoint. But if you're with a guy who's high value and he's found a way or systems to make you emotionally fulfilled at all times and places and get you what you want and need at all times and places, that means that you can actually revel in your femininity while he revels in his masculinity. That he actually moves further towards power and gets more and more of what he wants and needs so that he can get you what you want and need. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's the dual nature, because the duality is that you want to feel equal and never left behind amongst women, really. Okay? But when it comes to your man, it's a dual nature of it. You want to worship him. You want to feel in love. You want to wow, I'm with this guy, okay? That's what you want to feel. And that's fantastic. And the more you feel that, the more alive you're going to feel, which is basically what femininity is. And the last one, acceptance, unconditional love, which is the opposite, or the dual nature of it, is freedom to express any of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. What does that mean? It means if you have acceptance, or in other words, if you don't have acceptance and unconditional love, you restrict yourself. Okay, if you think that if I do this or say this or think this, then my boyfriend is gonna leave me. That's not unconditional love, and that's not acceptance, right? If you are in a group of people and you know that they don't accept you for this and this and this and this that you do or that you think or something like that, you're going to feel suppressed and feel that you're not free. And women need freedom. They want freedom to express anything. Full expression, bodily expression, you know, from words, freedom of speech, etc. All of those things women desire. And this is like, if you could get all these 6, that's amazing, right? From an emotional needs being met and fulfilled standpoint. Okay, so now that we know this, we were talking about being unburdened. We're talking about environment, right? We're talking about how can we create an environment that allows you to get this, okay? Because that's going to help your self-esteem, right? Your ability to get what you want emotionally and what you need emotionally. Yes, please give me this. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, it's coming. Let's see. So this is the 3 pillars of non-femininity, which is basically most of women today. Actually, they don't have the basic fundamental needs. So they're not going to have the things on the right-hand side either, because they're burdened. Work, 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 okay? Because they don't have security, they don't have safety, you know, because like, oh, I need my job, and if I can't get fired from my job, and I need a paycheck, and I need this, and she's working, and oh, like I'm not making enough money, and so she works overtime, and her life is just, oh man, how long do I have to do this, etc., etc. And you're competing, and you're being rejected. Especially like if you join a sales group, or if you're a lawyer, or if you're a doctor, or if you're, you know, a high intensity job, you're going to have issues with all of those things. What is that going to do to you or your self-esteem? Very often women believe that women that have cash, that have beauty, that have, you know, whatever, a loud mouth or whatever it is, they believe that those women have self-esteem. Trust me, their self-esteem is completely and utterly measured based upon their femininity. Okay? It really is. The more feminine a woman is, the more naturally everything in the universe just flows to her in terms of getting what she wants and she needs. The more masculine she becomes, the harder it is to get what you truly want. Okay? Very often women become masculine and get, you know, their financial means taken care of. But like if you watch my Paris Hilton video that I made like a few months ago, she's trying to become a billionaire. Why? Because she wants security. And it's like, what do you need $1 billion to get security? I mean, come on. She's trying to fulfill her basic emotional needs by becoming wealthy. And yet she can't get that one of the first fundamental needs met. There's obviously something wrong with that picture. Now things seems to be improving in her life, but you know, just mentioning it in general. Let's keep going. So when women's foundational emotional needs are not met, she's in survival mode, or i.e. masculine, or i.e. burdened. Okay? And she doesn't get any of that. Okay, so if you do get those 3 basic needs though, and your emotional needs are met, you enter into growth mode. Interesting. Okay, let's go briefly back and see. Where does your self-esteem come from? It comes from your environment. Your environment was, in the beginning, your parents and siblings, family, and then friends, and then anyone you developed a deep connection with. Okay, great. What happened if you had a bad self-esteem, or you've developed a bad self-esteem? Basically what happened has to do with one word. And this word is really the only thing I want you to take away from this video. Your self-esteem is directly proportional or correlated with your ability to trust others. Trust. Your self-esteem is directly correlated with your ability to trust others. If you do not trust others, your self-esteem is going to be low. If you trust others, your self-esteem is high. Because you're actually, the more you trust others, the more you're able to get what you want and need. But there's a catch, because you have this kind of a dual nature to this as well. The more you trust others, the more you tend to have been screwed over in the past. Does that sound familiar? Okay, this is what happens to women. In the beginning they were feminine, they were getting kind of what they wanted and needed, hopefully. And if they didn't, they became masculine very quickly. The more masculine they became, the less they trusted others, and the more they had to rely on their own ability to provide for themselves, provide security, provide equality. How are you going to provide that? That requires other people. And provide acceptance of themselves. You know, you just have to love yourself. Do you know how hard that is? It's extremely hard. You've been trying for years, maybe. Okay? It has everything to do with other people. But can you be able to love yourself without other people? Yes, it's possible. Can you like yourself? Can you have self-esteem without other people? Somewhat. But it'll be okay, self-esteem. It'll be okay, you know, trust in yourself. But you won't be able to fulfill your true feminine potential with it. For that, you need other people. And the more you kind of isolate yourself and exclude other people from your life, the more masculine you're becoming too. So there's an issue there. And we take care of all of this. We understand this. So we can actually help women to get to a point where they understand themselves and they get hope for the future of what's possible and what they can do with their lives. Okay? Let's go back to where we were. We want you to enter into growth mode. What is growth mode? It's femininity. Femininity. When you're in growth mode, you can have fun. You'll find your man, your worthy and superior man, that you can worship. Okay? And we understand how in love works, right? So you not only can fall in love, but then you can stay in love forever. Awesome. Okay? Only place on the internet you'll find this information. And you'll be free. You'll be free. Wow. Okay, growth mode, I just basically made a quick list. You can add your own, you know, things in there, but as you can see, those are things that you want. It's like, yes, give me that stuff, I want it. Exactly, you'll find it in growth mode. Okay, your femininity. Worship, yes, yes, give it to me. Okay, anyway, freedom, expression, truth, movement, dance, fun, singing, carnality. Self-esteem, you'll find it in the growth mode. Your feminine potential is your self-esteem potential. What is your feminine potential? How does that even look like? You're returning back to who you were when you trusted the people around you. Okay? You're returning back to being in the care of wonderful people who love you and accept you and want the best for you. You're returning from work. You're returning from competition, and you're returning from rejection. You're leaving that behind. Let go of the man's world, okay? Let go of it. Am I saying quit your job? No. I'm just saying get rid of as much as you can, so that you can return back to your femininity and your feminine potential. Because that's where you'll find your self-esteem. That's where you'll begin to have things happen to you that's like, wow, the universe is on my side. Of course it is. It's been all along. It's just that you didn't know that it required your femininity in order for you to get it. Are you valuable? Are you high value? And what is your worth? In the past, you might have had negative thoughts connected to this. But this channel will give you hope. Will give you, the information that you need for you to be able to say yes to those top two questions with the certainty like you can't believe. Yes, I'm high value. Yes, I'm valuable. Massively. You had that when you were younger. And then you've been broken over time, very often by men, most often by men, okay? Because they actually benefit from you feeling low value. You understand that, right? I'm talking now about the players, the ones that just want to sleep with you and then don't really care about you after that. They want you to have a low worth. That's why they tease you and reject you and do those things actually on purpose very often, because if you feel low value, you look at him as high value. Bad, very bad idea. And you're getting screwed over. And these men actually are screwing themselves over without even knowing. Because they're never going to be able to get full, love and trust in a relationship. And they're always going to distrust women because they've screwed women over so many times, and women are a reflection of them, right? So if they suck, then women in their life suck, etc., etc. So and when I say that, I don't mean that those women suck. It's just that those men attract those kinds of women who haven't understood this information that I'm giving to you right now. Do you understand what I mean? All women have infinite worth, okay? You're born with infinite potential. All of you, every single one, okay? Men, when they hear this, they're like, no ways. Do you know how many crazy women I know? Blah, 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 okay? Every single woman out there has infinite potential because they were born feminine and they can return to their femininity. Masculine women also have infinite worth because they have infinite potential. They can, hopefully, if their environment allows it, return back to their femininity, where they will find everything that they need and want from an emotional standpoint. If they remain in their masculinity, which they don't have any real power over if they stay in the same environment, hopefully we can help them to enter into this new information age of what women truly need. But some women won't accept this information, and that's okay. And I want to make a video, actually one of the next videos. I want to help you guys understand that everyone is unique. Everyone is amazing in their own way. But everyone also desires happiness. Everyone desires joy, bliss, and happiness. And we want to help them get that. We want to help them get it. Because I know we can. Together with your help, we can share this information and help women to feel fantastic about themselves. And if you get rejected for all of the other information that's on this channel, then have them write horrible things to me in DMs on Instagram. You know what I mean? Men of high value, at Men of High Value. I think it's wonderful when women write me negative things and wonderful things, and I don't mind, because I know I'm listening to someone who has infinite worth. I know that she has infinite potential, and she just right now doesn't understand what we've got and how we can help her. But if she contacts me, I can actually help her. Maybe. Okay. Your infinite potential is, it's these things that I've just mentioned. It's amazing what you can get. Did I answer all of the questions? Did I answer how do you 100x from here with your infinite potential? The goal is to trust others. You have to come to the point at some time in the future, if you want to have if you want to actually get your infinite potential, at some point in time, you'll have to find a man who's absolutely amazing. We can help you with that. That's part of our system. That's part of how we work, right? We're developing men of high value as we speak, okay? Make sure you subscribe. At some point in time, that's needed in order for you to get everything in life that you emotionally want and need, okay? There's a system for it. The other aspect of fun, okay? Like, we have to find a way to fulfill your basic emotional needs first, and there's security, equality, and acceptance. And that's exactly what you're going to get from this community right here. You cannot get that on your own. If you're, by yourself, no one is there for you, etc., etc. Stick around with this community. This is just the beginning. I mean, what, 730 subscribers. This is amazing, okay? And you'll get friends here. You'll develop, there's going to be amazing things happening from here. And I'm so grateful that you're here and that you're listening to this channel. Make sure you subscribe and like this video, and let's see if we have some comments. Nothing right now. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.